Well, welcome back to Whole Bible Study with Taddy Noy. If you're just joining us, we've been walking through the story of Israel's deliverance from Egypt. We've seen the plagues, the crossing of the Red Sea, and the journey to Mount Sinai. The people of Israel are now camped at the base of the mountain, and everything has been building up to this moment. God is about to speak directly to his people, not just to Moses. This chapter is one of the most iconic in all of Scripture. Let's read together from Exodus chapter 20 in the NIV. Exodus chapter 20. And God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath on the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth and the sea, and all that is in them. But he rested on the seventh. Therefore the Lord blesses the Sabbath day and make it holy. Honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male or female servant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. When the people saw the thunder and the lightning, and heard the trumpet, and saw the mountain in smoke, they trembled with fear. They stayed at a distance and said to Moses, Speak to us yourself, and we will listen, but do not have God speak to us, or we will die. Moses said to the people, Do not be afraid. God has come to test you, so that the fear of God will be with you, to keep you from sinning. The people remained at a distance while Moses approached the thick darkness where God was. Then the Lord said to Moses, Tell the Israelites this. You have seen for yourselves that I have spoken to you from heaven. Do not make any gods to be alongside me. Do not make for yourselves gods of silver or gods of gold. Make an altar of earth for me, and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, your sheep and goats and your cattle. Wherever I cause my name to be honored, I will come to you and bless you. If you make an altar of stones for me, do not build it with dressed stones, for you will defile it if you use a tool on it. And do not go up to the altar on steps, or your private parts may be exposed. Deep dive Exodus chapter 20. Exodus 20 is arguably one of the most influential chapters in all of Scripture. It contains the 10 commandments, or more accurately in Hebrew, the Aseret HaDibarot, the 10 words. These declarations from the ethical and spiritual core of not only Judaism but Christianity and Western legal tradition. But to fully appreciate their power, we need to understand the historical, linguistic, and theological context of this extraordinary moment. God opens words, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, it's not just an introduction, they are a claim of relationship. The commandments do not begin with demands, but with identity. In ancient Near Eastern treaties, it was common for kings to preface their laws by reminding the subjects of past acts of deliverance or favor. This is the Chaucerian vassal treaty structure. Yahweh is positioning himself as a sovereign king who has rescued his people and is now establishing covenantal expectations. The command, "You shall have no other gods before me," in verse 3, does not deny the existence of other deities. In fact, in early Hebrew culture, monolatry, or the worship of one God among many, often preceded full monotheism, but it does assert exclusive allegiance to Yahweh. The Hebrew phrase al-paneh literally means "before my face," implying intimacy and loyalty. The command is relational, not just legal. The ban on images in verses 4 through 6 was radically countercultural. Every ancient religion relied on physical representations of deities, statues, icons, symbols, but Israel's God is invisible. He's transcendent and beyond containment. To carve an image of God is to distort his nature. This is not just theological, it was political. By removing visible icons, Yahweh set Israel apart from Canaanite and Egyptian traditions, which centered worship around cult statues and temple idols. The Sabbath command in verses 8 through 11 is the longest of the 10 words, and the only one rooted in both theology and anthropology. It echoes the Genesis creation rhythm and reframes labor as holy but not limited. In an agrarian society with no formal weekends, the idea of mandatory rest was both liberating and revolutionary. For slaves newly freed from Egypt's brutal labor system, Sabbath was a divine protest against exploitation. The final commands, honoring parents, prohibiting murder, adultery, theft, and false witness, are not arbitrary moral codes. They are covenantal boundaries meant to protect relationships and sustain community. The last commandment, "You shall not covet," uniquely addresses internal desires. This is more than an external law. It's heart-level transformation. And ancient law codes like Hammurabi's consequences were based on action. But Yahweh's law cares about motive. This points towards a deeper, more personal relationship with God. In verse 18 shifts the scene dramatically. The people see fire, smoke, and hear the blast of heavenly sohar. The mountain quakes. This is a theophany, God revealing himself in sensory, overwhelming ways. Ancient accounts from cultures like the Hittites and the Ugrit describe divine encounters with thunder and smoke, but this one is different. God speaks directly to the people. That intimacy terrifies them. Moses, acting as mediator, assures them in verse 20, "Do not be afraid. God has come to test you so that the fear of God will be with you." The Hebrew word for test, nasah, implies both examination and strengthening. God isn't scaring them for sport. He's forming a people who revere him through enough to obey, but trust him enough to draw near. The chapter closes with instructions for building an altar. And there's something beautiful. God doesn't want elaborate or chiseled stones. No steps, no pomp. Why? Because access to God must remain humble, unadorned, and free from human ego. Worship is not performance. It is presence. And now for some final reflections. This chapter always leaves me in awe. Not because of its strictness, but because of its beauty. God doesn't just give laws, he gives himself. He shows up on the mountain in thunder and fire, yes, but also in words. And those words are meant to shape us, not just control us. They're not a burden, they're a blueprint for how to live in love and reverence with God and with each other. What strikes me most is how relational it all is. God is not distant. He's saying, "I brought you out, and now I want to walk with you." But there's a way we walk together. There's a rhythm, a holiness, a respect. That means something to me. It reminds me that obedience is not about earning love. It's about responding to it. If you made it this far, thank you. Really, thank you. These words are ancient, but they are alive. And if they stirred something in your heart, I'd love to hear about it. Drop your reflections, your questions, your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep the learning together. And I will be doing a continuing the discussion very specifically on each of the 10 commandments, each of those in just a few minutes. So stay tuned for that. I'll just go into a deeper dive more precisely into each of those commandments. Okay? Well, thank you again for being with me today for chapter 20, and we will see you in the next chapter.